Huawei has created a loud enough noise to get the attention it deserves. And, in the middle of it all, the triple-camera Huawei P20 Pro. Normally, Huawei's camera-centric flagship devices would come in pairs like the P10 and P10 Plus. And aside from the handset size, not much is different between the two. This time, Huawei emphasized that the bigger sibling is going to be much more than that. So instead of just calling it the P20 Plus, it named it the P20 Pro instead. Just the way they did it with the Mate 10 and Mate 10 Pro. Hey guys, Kim here of Tech, and today we're sharing with you our full review of the Huawei P20 Pro. The Huawei P20 Pro is relatively the same size as its predecessor, the P10 Plus. Yet Huawei managed to fit a 6.1-inch display by maximizing the bezels around the screen. Equally impressive is the fact that they were also able to keep the fingerprint sensor at the front, along with a very narrow strip at the bottom. The body is completely covered in Gorilla Glass, both at the front and the back, together with rounded corners that make it a bit slippery on the hands. It's got a bit of heft to it, with a beautiful and luxurious design, especially in that blue and twilight color variant. The attention to detail, the build materials used, and the subtle touches of the design contribute to a premium look and feel of the handset. Indeed, the P20 Pro is miles better compared to the P10 Plus in terms of design execution. The power button is placed on the right side along with the volume controls just above it, while the SIM card slot is placed on the left. The noise-cancelling mic is up top together with an IR blaster that's flanked with antenna bands on both ends. At the bottom end is the USB Type-C charging port, speaker grill, and the primary mic that's tucked inside a similar grill just across it for symmetry. Two more antenna bands are found on both ends. Missing is the 3.5mm audio port, a growing trend with flagship phones these days. Instead, Huawei equipped the included earphones with a Type-C port for compatibility. They first did this on the Mate 10 Pro, so we're not really surprised. The back panel is flat and glossy due to the glass paneling. On the left corner is a cluster of 3 cameras. The first two, the 40MP RGB and 20MP monochrome, are joined by a protruding lens barrel about 2mm thick, while the third one is the 8MP telephoto camera situated just below them. All 3 lenses are lined up vertically, along with a dual-tone, dual LED flash placed at the end. The camera protrusion means the device wobbles when placed flat on its back. The new Huawei logo is flush just at the bottom and together with several labels and required markings. Also interesting to note that the layout of the entire back panel is set horizontally instead of vertically, giving more attention to the 3-camera system. At long last, Huawei decided to make the P20 Pro dust and water resistant, with up to 1 meter deep and in under 30 minutes. It's apparent Huawei wants to make a statement that they can do better and implement design executions to significantly differentiate themselves from the competition. Well, except for that unnecessary notch on the display, we think that Huawei has found its design DNA in the P20 Pro. The P20 Pro sports a huge 6.1-inch full-view OLED display, similar to the one they had with the Mate 10 Pro, with a resolution of 2240 by 1080 pixels. This brings the screen aspect ratio to an even 18.7 by 9, a bit off from the usual 18 by 9 or 19 by 9 aspect ratio common to many other phones. In a way, it's closer to the 18.5 by 9 aspect ratio of Samsung's Galaxy S9 and S9 Plus smartphones. Speaking of the notch, the one found in the P20 Pro is noticeably narrower and only houses a 24MP camera, a circular loudspeaker, and a hidden sensor module in between. If you don't fancy the side of the notch, that can be easily fixed in the display settings and completely masked by darkening the strip of display on both sides. It's a clever trick actually, and gives the impression that the bezels are thicker along that side, but retains its usefulness by still showing notifications and status. Another topic of discussion is the apparent conservative approach of Huawei in the screen resolution. They insisted that Full HD Plus is enough screen resolution for the P20 Pro. At this resolution, the display still looks clear and crisp, with no noticeable differences compared to other smartphones with higher resolutions. The OLED display is bright and rich, colors are evenly saturated, and the images pop out from the screen. And we agree, but on the condition that it will contribute to a lower price tag of the device. While it's nice to have either 2K, QHD, or 4K, the advantage is merely on paper and none in practical terms. The benefit is longer battery life since it has fewer pixels to power. The device supports stereo sound with a primary speaker at the bottom and a secondary loudspeaker at the top end. Sound quality is very good, loud and crisp with no noticeable distortion even at maximum volume. The inclusion of the IR blaster is a rare feature, but very much welcome, especially if you have a lot of appliances with remote control at home. Since the company's close partnership with Leica, Huawei has capitalized on the name and their in-house technology to further push the limits on what smartphone cameras can do. The Huawei P20 Pro, with its 3-camera setup at the back, is a first in any commercial phone. The primary 40-megapixel sensor is also the biggest in the market today. The 3-camera setup works in conjunction with each other. The 40-megapixel RGB sensor takes the primary colored image, then combines it with a 20-megapixel monochrome sensor for added detail and contrast. The third camera is an 8-megapixel telephoto lens that, when combined with a 40-megapixel plus 20-megapixel image, can produce up to 5 times hybrid zoom. Huawei's built-in AI, powered by the dedicated NPU of the Kirin 970, assists in identifying the subjects and applying the appropriate post-processing in order to produce the best version of a photo. The front-facing camera of the P20 Pro has a 24-megapixel sensor with f2.0 aperture and uses AI-driven 3D facial modeling to help in taking the best-looking selfies. Sample shots we took here in Paris were undoubtedly impressive. The AI of the P20 Pro detects the scenes and automatically adjusts the mode to adopt the right image processing. This produces better contrast and saturation like bluer skies or greener fields. Most of the time it's spot on, but sometimes the result might not be what you expected. Needless to say, there's a lot of post-processing done with photos in auto mode. Nevertheless, the camera is very powerful. Images are sharp and captures a lot of details. The 5 times hybrid zoom is a classic example of how good the camera is. Folks who love taking selfies will find the 24-megapixel front-facing camera to their liking. The selfie camera has AI beautification and 3D portrait lighting, so you get those studio-like effects when taking selfies. Additional camera features include 4K video recording and a new super slow-mo video up to 960 FPS, similar to the one in the Galaxy S9 and S9 Plus, although still not as impressive as the 960 FPS at 1080p of the Sony Xperia XZ2. The device comes with Android 8.1 Oreo right out of the box and customized with EMUI 8.1. The default layout of EMUI is a flat home screen with all the apps scattered across multiple home screens. To organize, you can just group the icons into folders. If you want the default layout with an app drawer, that can be easily done in the settings. EMUI is such a simple and clean interface. Too simple, in fact, that we have not really seen any cosmetic difference compared to the previous versions, all the way to EMUI 5.0. With EMUI 8.1, Huawei also introduced a new face recognition feature to quickly unlock your phone. The fingerprint sensor is also convenient and more secure, although we're still not sold to the fact that it was placed at the front and not in the back. You can register up to 5 unique fingerprints at a time. EMUI might look simple and unappealing, but its core strength is the ability to give users all the possible options that fit their needs. It's flexible and highly customizable. You just need to tinker around to get the hang of it. The P20 Pro is powered by the same high-silicon Kirin 970 first introduced in the Huawei Mate 10 and Mate 10 Pro. This is composed of a high-performance quad-core ARM Cortex-A73 processor running at a max speed of 2.36 GHz and a power-efficient quad-core ARM Cortex-A53 running at 1.8 GHz. This is paired with a Mali G72 MP12 graphics processor and a dedicated neural processing unit that handles AI-specific computational tasks. Standard memory option is 6GB of RAM and 128GB UFS 2.1 internal storage. Huawei intentionally skipped the microSD card slot, which can be a deal breaker to some. The Huawei P20 Pro scored high with 206,099 points in Antutu benchmark. As demonstrated in the Huawei Mate 10 and Mate 10 Pro, the Kirin 970 is a very powerful and intelligent chipset, yet power efficient at the same time. We've never had any experience that suggests otherwise. Multitasking is a breeze, Gaming performance is very good, and not once we've noticed the device is slowing down or lagging. The phone supports 2 nano SIM cards, both of which are LTE capable. Other connectivity options include dual-band Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 4.2, NFC, and GPS. The Huawei P20 Pro packs a huge 4000 mAh lithium-ion battery, one of the biggest in its class. With Huawei's track record in battery performance, we expect nothing less with the P20 Pro. In our PC Mark battery test, the P20 Pro clocked in at 10 hours and 9 minutes at 50% brightness, 0 volume, and in airplane mode. Using our standard video loop test, the P20 Pro managed to last 17 hours and 45 minutes playing a full HD video at 50% brightness, 0 volume, and in an airplane mode. With Huawei Supercharge, the battery can go from 0 to full in just 90 minutes. Sadly, there's no wireless charging support on the device. The Huawei P20 Pro is looking to be a solid flagship phone, armed with an impressive camera system we've never seen before. Huawei is certainly flexing its R&D muscle, and this is evident with their obsession with AI-enabled features and over-the-top camera system. Beautiful design and solid craftsmanship coupled with an impressive camera and great overall performance, the Huawei P20 Pro is definitely an early contender for this year's best flagship smartphone. Huge props to Huawei for really pushing the boundaries. We've never been this thoroughly impressed with a new phone in such a long time. And that's it for our review of the Huawei P20 Pro. We hope you liked it. Smash that like button if you love this video, or hit the subscribe icon for more contents like this. Once again, this is Kim, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye!